It's always hard to say where one gets this entrepreneurial feeling. When I graduated college, I then decided to go into teaching and ended up in business in somewhat of an accidental fashion because there were many requests for consulting.
I'm a proud graduate of the University of California, San Diego. I always joke that I attended the university when dinosaurs roamed the campus. I really felt like what I learned at UCSD was how to solve problems. And I took that education, and as a student at UCSD, started my first company on 2 credit cards and my mom mortgaging her house, and ultimately sold that company. Back in college, it was pretty revolutionary really in my family to think about sort of being an entrepreneur. And I had to learn a lot of the things that today people going through the entrepreneurial challenge are taught. I wrote my first executive summary, I wrote a business plan, but all those things I did really by going to a book and getting a model business plan and then showing it to smart people who helped me. I mean, the entrepreneurial challenge really accelerates that whole process. It gives entrepreneurs, scientists, students the opportunity to really learn the fundamentals of how you think about a business. What's the value proposition? How are you ultimately going to monetize that? How much capital do you need to build the business? And by linking, the process of executive summary and presentation, and then also mentors to the process, I think students have a real opportunity to get much further than I did in a much shorter period of time.
In starting the first company, I didn't have any business background, so I used to go around and talk with other companies and find out even how they were organized, what different departments you needed within the company, how they reported to one another. If one had some of the background in entrepreneurial training, some exposure at each challenge, it would have made that phase, I believe, much easier.
If you are interested in becoming integrated or even becoming aware of the greater San Diego area, the people that run it, the people that are in science, the people that are in technology, the people that are in business, and really understanding the context in which you're going to enter after you graduate university, there's really no place to do that other than through something like the Entrepreneur Challenge.
There are a lot of students who really want to move from academia or the knowledge they're learning in the university and apply it in the business world. And they're very different skill sets. And I think the Entrepreneurial Challenge helps bring some of those skill sets to the students and the scientists and enables them to understand, what are the key issues, what are the key tools that one needs to be successful in business.
So the UC San Diego Entrepreneur Challenge is a student-operated and student-founded organization. It has 3 main principles. The principles are to educate, to connect, and to fund aspiring student entrepreneurs.
It's always interesting that when you're teaching, you're always giving some theory and explaining that it probably is going to have some real-world impact. And so the opportunity to go into the business world and demonstrate that this theory was useful was something that I valued quite highly. I thought that that would have a good impact on students in the future to see that some of these things they've been studying were, in fact, quite helpful.
And it's exciting now to watch a PhD student in bioengineering teaming up with a MBA student from Rady to come up with a business idea that they run through the challenge. And so the university is evolving too, and it's not just the scientists, it's the MBA students, it's the economic students, it's all these people coming together. And the big passion, I think, is around creating a vision for a company. And in many ways, it's about making the world a better place. Maybe it's a new drug or it's a new therapy. Maybe it's an exciting game you can do on the internet. But it's all things, I think, that are worthwhile and a lot of fun.
Well, one of the most exciting aspects, of course, of being in business is to come up with an idea and then be able to develop it and then have it be very useful to many other people. And so in the case of the cell phone, with 5 billion people out there making use of it, it's having a major impact on lives all around the globe. When you start a company, perhaps the hardest part is being able to finance those several early months of activity, bring in a few people to work with so you can also exchange ideas, and try to focus in on a product or products on which you're going to try to move forward. To do that, you need some funding. And of course, we've seen some companies that have won in the entrepreneurial challenge, perhaps in San Diego, perhaps been able to take it elsewhere and win some additional funding, and have used that funding very effectively to be able to move forward with their company.
The E-Challenge is a pivotal part of the equation because it's the place where the earliest ideas and the biggest number of students come together at UCSD to try to create companies. And it's a process where it might start with 100 students or 100 teams and it narrows itself down to fewer, but that really is a catalyst to this whole idea of a community of entrepreneurs tied to the venture capitalists, tied to all the service providers, and ultimately creating the next great companies in San Diego. I mean, these companies that get spawned out of the E-Challenge will be the next leaders in San Diego. And we need to create more local jobs. We need to create more opportunities for people to stay in San Diego. And it's vital that things like the E-Challenge get the kind of support and funding they need to go to the next level. You know, I think investing in the Entrepreneurial Challenge is one of the best investments an organization can make. Mission Ventures is a sponsor for the challenge. And, you know, we really believe that the dollars we're investing are going to pay dividends over and over again. I mean, it's just a matter of time before one of these companies is a company that we back and hopefully one day turn into our next big success. And, you know, whether you're a law firm or you're another venture capital firm or an accounting firm or you're a big company like a Qualcomm, we're all in this San Diego community together. And the Entrepreneurial Challenge is a great way to invest to create the next great companies for San Diego in the future.